Hi, welcome back to Agile Scrum Kanban presentation. This is B.S. Satyadev. This is the last presentation as part of Agile Scrum and Kanban. Until last presentation, we have seen what is Agile, what is Scrum, what are the Scrum activities, metrics, and all these things we have seen. So that completes Scrum. Now, in this presentation, I'm going to talk about Kanban. Now, basically, as I told you in the beginning of the presentation, Scrum and Kanban are two implementations or methodologies that take Agile mindset. Like I said in the earlier presentation, Agile is not a process or a methodology. It is a it's neither a process nor a methodology or a framework. Agile is nothing but a mindset. It's a thought process. 4 values, 12 principles. That's pretty much what Agile is. Scrum is actually a framework. I told you about what is Scrum. Now Kanban, similar to Scrum, is also a framework, which is actually used for different purposes. Again, there is no strict rule that this has to be done this way kind of thing. But from my experience, what I've learned is that Scrum used for mainly for development activities. When there is new code or new product is being developed, or a product is being maintained with adding more features and stuff like that, then we use Scrum. Basically for new development, whether it could be existing product or not, doesn't matter. Adding more features, new features, that's when we use Scrum. Whereas normally Kanban we use for when the product is in the maintenance mode. That means bugs reported by the customers, bugs found in the product by engineers, those kind of things can be done in Kanban. So for development purposes, Scrum is used. For maintenance purpose, Kanban used. This is not a strict rule. At the same time, this is what I have seen that industry these are being followed like that. Let's get into see what is Kanban. The Kanban model works much like Scrum model that has collaborative and self-managing team that tries to provide early and consistent value to customer, but more fluid and more lightweight. So what it says is similar to Scrum. You have team, you have daily stand-ups, you're planning, you don't have much retrospective and stuff like that. And also there is review, but there is not too much retrospective. Those kind of things are still there in Kanban as well. You can follow them, but certain things you can skip if you don't want to. For example, most of the work that is done in Kanban is like a customer found defects, right? So the maintenance work. So the defects is very clear. Customer tells what it is done and it is reproduced. Everything is clear, right? So in that case, I think there is nothing much to a lot to ponder or discuss with the team. So it's more like more lightweight compared to the Scrum. Now it is started at Toyota manufacturing. Actually, it's suitable for like kind of places where things are like kind of bit disjoint, like one person work on one thing kind of stuff like it is. So Toyota company has started this in their manufacturing plants. Need behind the invention of this model is that team at Toyota wanted to know quickly how things are moving in the workflow so that they can optimize the process. That's how they invented this model Kanban. So there are both basically four principles based on which Kanban works. Start with what you do now. Agree to pursue incremental change, like WIP, work in progress. That is the limit WIP. Respect current process, roles, responsibilities, and titles. Encourage acts of leadership at all levels. Now, it is slightly different compared to Scrum, where there are no big roles in Scrum, right? So there are, Scrum dev, QA, architect, QX. All these guys are called as devs only. There is no separate title for them. Whereas in Kanban, it's not like that. If there is a customer service representative, treat them as customer representative. Don't call him as dev. There is a senior person, there is a senior person. So respect the titles. That's what Kanban says. Also, the process should start with what you are doing now. I mean, this is very important. So don't leave stuff and go to another thing, kind of thing. And if somebody is planning to do something else, and that somebody has got bandwidth, it's okay to lose that thing to the other guy. So these kind of principles that govern the Kanban model. Now, similar to Scrum board, Kanban also uses board. But again, Kanban board is much more simpler. In normal Scrum, so you will see to-do list is there, similar like Kanban board. We have seen it when I am presenting the Scrum, right? So to do in development, in QA, there could be multiple columns you can have. Even you can have like to do, doing, done. That's as simple as this you can have in Scrum. But Scrum also advocates, because there could be UX development, there could be security ads. It depends, right? How many team members are there, what kind of work being done. In that case, you can have a board with multiple columns, maybe 6, 7, 8 columns also you can have if you want. Whereas in Kanban, it's just 3 columns, like to do, doing, done. A Kanban board typically could have 3 columns, limited to doing and done. Each of these columns are there to hold different work items written on some type of cards. Again, earlier they used to have sticky notes on card, now not anymore. Kanban boards can be physical, where team members physically add cards to the column. Also, there are various virtual Kanban boards available online with portals from Trello.com, Zira. I think I already talked about that even when I'm doing Scrum, right? So, advantage with these virtual Kanban boards is that it is possible to attach additional documentation and provide a lot of notes and links. So basically, I think it's the same thing as well as Scrum. But again, it's more useful when it is a virtual for Kanban, because normally defects requires a lot of attachments. For example, customers saw a crash in the product, right? He could attach the crash report to the ticket or the story. Whatever ticket is converted to story, right? Customer defect converted to story, the story will contain the attachment. That way, I think the developer knows, okay, this is why it is crashed. At this point, we put some debugging statement, or debuggers understand why it happened, where it happened, all that stuff. Now you can see that the to do, done, doing and done are there. Basically, the card is nothing but a story. When you click on the card virtually, you will get the entire story popped up. You can see these columns, and a story going from to do to doing to done is going like a swim lane, right? It's going across a swim lane. So multiple swim lanes. So that's what it is. The process, how Kanban works. All work item cards are first placed in the to do. It's pretty obvious. Column in the order of their priority with created by and created timestamp details. This is very, very important compared to Scrum. In Scrum, we don't really care about created by and created timestamp, whereas in Kanban, we do need that. I'll tell you why. Each team member picks up one high priority work item that the member can work on and up their name on the timestamp on the work item and move it to doing. Okay, there are 2 timestamps we talked about. One is created when the story is created, and the second timestamp is when it is picked up. In Scrum, we don't do that. In Scrum, just sprint, right? You take up a story, who created it, I don't care. When it is created, I don't care. This is the priority story, it is in the sprint backlog, I took it up, I'm working on it. Whereas in Kanban, it's not like that. When it is created, who created, important. Because the priority, if it is a priority customer, we have to pick it up first, right? And it is created like long time ago, or it is created just now. It's how much. These are all factors come into picture for Kanban, because mostly Kanban works, maintenance kind of work, right? So then the guy who takes up the story or ticket updates the time. Okay, I started working on this ticket on so and so date and time, right? So that this date and time is also very, very important. And then he or she puts it into the doing column and start working on it. Once the work item is completed, it is moved to done column, and again the timestamp will be written there, like when it is done, who has done it, all the details will be there in the story. Whereas in Scrum, normally the last person to complete a story is a QA. So most of the stories on QA names only, because QS will test the story. Who has done it, doesn't matter, because they're all devs as far as the Scrum is concerned. Whereas in Kanban, it is important which dev has completed which work, kind of thing, right? So this process is repeated until there are no work items to work on. Again, there is no, I mean, big sprint planning or anything like that. You don't need to have. You can have, but how many times this is to limit the work in progress WIP, but at the same time, it's like a continuous flow of work, right? So continuous flow of tickets. There are 6 general practices of Kanban. First thing is visualize the work, have a board, physical or virtual, because uh, compared to Scrum, Kanban do require more visibility, because there are certain, this is affected to the, these are tickets coming from the production used by the customers. So they have got more importance and you should have good visibility. Second is you limit work in progress. Stop starting, start stopping, don't overcommit. This is very, very important, because in Scrum, even though it is not highly recommended, sometimes some people, work on 2 stories because, he has got the knowledge or something, like, because it is blocked, I want to work on some of the, it's fine. Whereas in this thing, in Kanban, it's not strongly discouraged, because I said strongly discouraged, because if you are working on a ticket for a one priority customer, which is high priority, you should finish it whatever it takes, because customer is waiting on the ticket, right? So that's very, very important. So you don't take up another one because you are blocked. Don't take up. Make sure that that's unblocked very quickly, or just put it back to backlog. Don't work on multiple things at the same time. That's what the second point is. Manage flow. Make sure things are moving across column. Make sure that you keep working on. Don't just block at some one thing. Like, that's what I told earlier. Make policies explicit. This is like working agreement in Scrum. Define all operating. So as standard operating procedures and SOPs have to be documented well. So this is how we are planning. We are not planning to take more than 8 stories, 8 tickets at a time per week. Something like that. Whatever it is, right? So, and implement feedback loop. As there is no sprint concept here, make sure retrospective is, so this is, get the retrospective, especially from the customer representative perspective. So is the customer happy? If not, what is the things we could have done better? All these things have to be retrospected in the retrospective meeting. Sixth one is collaborate for improvements and evolve experimental. So be open and courage. So basically this is the agile kind of thing, collaboration and improvement, for improvement, and keep doing experiments and making sure things are. These are the Kanban process practices. Metrics. When it comes to Kanban metrics, it uses a slightly different metrics compared to Scrum. Not slightly, but there are different metrics that is used by Kanban. Kanban focuses on optimizing flow, limiting work in progress, and reducing lead and cycle times. Its metrics are geared towards understanding and improving the efficiency of the workflow. So basically, it is about customer defects, and it should be manufacturing kind of thing, right? So or it could be software, doesn't matter. It's more focus on the lead time and cycle time. So what is lead time and what is cycle time? Lead time is the total time taken for the work item from its creation, that means entering into the to do column, to its completion, to done column. That means from this column to this column, how much time it took it. That means as soon as the customer created a ticket and it has come to our board, how much time it took to complete the ticket. That's what the lead time. Now, what is cycle time? Total time taken from work item from its pickup um, to its completion. Now, let's say the ticket is created 1 week ago. Because of its priority, we haven't worked on it. It's not high priority, it's a medium priority. I just picked it today. That means its creation time is different, its starting time is different. Very, very high priority times, creation time, starting time could be the same day, right? But whereas certain medium or low priority time, cycle time is like only to calculate from pickup time until the completion time. That is the cycle time. Lead time is from creation to completion. Cycle time is to start to completion. Now, there is another parameter called throughput. The number of work items completed within a specific time period. per day, week, whatever we have decided, like sprint or 2 weeks, months, quarter, whatever it is called the throughput. So for every 2 weeks, we are delivering 10 tickets, 8 tickets. These are all. This is the throughput. WIP, work in progress. Number of tasks being worked on simultaneously. One or more developers monitoring to reduce the overload. Yeah. So I already talked about it. It's not recommended to take multiple things at the same time, but there are 3 developers and they are working on 8 tickets. It's too much. It will be too much. Maybe 4 tickets is fine. Then put a WIP. Okay, more than 5 tickets cannot be worked on. 3 tickets cannot. It depends upon the need and company policy. So these are the different parameters that are used in Kanban. How to improve metrics? There is one law called Little's law, which is equal to L is equal to lambda into W, or W is nothing but L by lambda. What is L? What is L? L is nothing but the WIP, work in progress. L is nothing but the work in progress. Lambda is the arrival rate, at the rate at which the items are queued up, which is nothing but the throughput. W is the average wait time, average time an item spends inside the queuing system. So this, based on this, you understand W, you find the W value, right? That's W value is important, average wait time. So when a story is created, how much time it is taking to finish it off, like average wait time for the story, cycle time. That's what important. So they calculate based on this principle. How to improve these metrics? There are 2 ways. Increase throughput, that means get more stories. That way I think you need to add, get things, more things to be done. That means you have to increase resources, put more people on that, provide additional training. Let's say you don't have too many people. Normally in maintenance there won't be many people. Then what you need to do is you reduce the work in progress. Let's say there are only 2 developers. Then say only work on 3 bugs at a time, or 2 bugs at a time, not one, because 2 people are there, right? So if you put a limit on work in progress, then also you can see a good output from this for the cycle time. So cycle time is important. So how much cycle time it's being done, like when you take it up and finish it up, that's what cycle time is. Good habits for Kanban. It is good practice to have following states in Kanban: to do, ready, in progress, review. I mean, which is recommended, but I haven't seen much like. Only 3 columns are there mostly, but this is a good recommendation. Grouping work items across different columns consists of swim lanes. So swim lanes are useful in prioritization, differentiation, different sub items. So basically swim lane is nothing but like to do is one swim lane, doing is one swim, like that, group the items in a swim lane. So across different columns consists of swim lanes. So swim lanes are useful for prioritization. These are basically used for prioritization because how many are there, different sub teams. It is always good idea to set limit for, this is what we have been discussing, right? So basically Kanban in a nutshell, is a very, very lightweight model of Scrum. You can follow a practice of Scrum, you may completely, may not completely, but the idea is it's mostly used for maintenance purposes. So that's pretty much about Kanban. This completes the entire series of Agile, Scrum and Kanban. I hope everybody enjoys this series. Hope to meet you in another series. Thank you very much.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe VNR Digital Learning Resource YouTube channel.